We are one game away from the Copa del Rey final in Sevilla. The Copa del Rey is the most elusive cup for Real Madrid. We've only won it once in the last decade against Osasuna. And although it looks unlikely that we're going to do the treble this season, given our lack of consistency, but you can never rule it out when it's Real Madrid. Obviously, we won the first game 1-0 away from home at Sociedad, and now the second leg is at the Bernabeu. But of course, the biggest issue is we've only had 72 hours between our last game against Leganes and this game. Not to mention the fact that many of these players were coming from international break, and you have the likes of Fede, Rodrygo, Vinicius who are traveling all the way from another continent as well. But if there's one positive to take from this is the fact that we at least have that one goal advantage, which obviously is very necessary in this game. Now, if you guys remember the last game we played against Sociedad, they pressed us very high up the pitch. Raul Ascencio played at right back, and then he was substituted at halftime. He didn't do too well at right back, but Sociedad is a team that doesn't sit deep the way some of these other teams in La Liga do. They're not going to play with 10 players, 11 players behind the ball. They're going to try and press high. They're going to try to actually take the game to us. It's good to play against sides every once in a while that don't just sit in a deep block and deny us space. The good news is that Fede, Rodrygo, Vinicius obviously didn't start the last game against Leganes. And for once, Carlo Ancelotti actually rotated the squad. We're into the business end of the season at this point. If we're going to actually win major trophies, which is absolutely not certain, there needs to be more squad rotation. Because if you looked at the body language of Jude Bellingham towards the end of that game, he looked visibly fatigued. So I expect a lot of changes from the team that played over the weekend, because Fran Garcia started that game, played the whole match, promising from what I saw from Fran Garcia, but one of the goals does come from his lack of defensive awareness. I don't know that they scored that goal if Fran Mendy was on the pitch. Fran Mendy doesn't offer you as much going forward, but defensively you cannot argue against the fact that he is a solid fullback and he has great defensive instinct. And Kubo is Sociedad's biggest attacking threat. If there's a game where you need him fresh and ready to play, it's that game against Sociedad. A lot of their attacks do flow through Kubo. And of course, Kubo is a former Real Madrid player. Anytime Real Madrid faces a former player, they show up to play and they give it 110%. And somehow they always score. But a player who might potentially be a future Real Madrid player that we're linked with, who I'd be keeping an eye on, is Zubimendi. He plays as a single pivot, and his profile is really interesting to Real Madrid given what he can offer the team. Now, I'm doing a whole separate video, and that's coming out soon, where I do more in-depth analysis on Zubimendi. According to different sources, Zubimendi will come to Madrid if Xabi Alonso comes as well, because Zubimendi had pretty much an agreement with Mikel Arteta. But from different sources that I've heard, Xabi Alonso, in discussions with Real Madrid, has told them, hey, if I come, I want this guy. So I'll do more of an analysis of his tactical fit and what that means, the implications for the rest of the team. Now, the question marks in this game against Sociedad is, what is Carlo Ancelotti going to do in the midfield? Because he rested Fede. Fede Valverde will play this game. The question is, will he be played at right back or in the double pivot with Tchouaméni? Even the few minutes that Fede played at right back, he had a lot of really key interventions. What he offers you defensively is second to none. And for the big games, he needs to be playing at right back, without a question. But this is a game at the Bernabeu, at home. And although we have a 1-goal lead this season, we've proven to be a team that cannot really defend or keep leads. We've won our last few games by only a 1-goal margin. But even our last game, we were fighting for our lives. The game against Villarreal, we were fighting for our lives to the last second. And part of the reason for that is also the fatigue of the squad. You know, these guys are playing these games after 72 hours of rest. They're pretty much playing next day at Valdebebas, getting ready for the next match. The schedule is out of control, but we have one foot in the final at this point. So winning comfortably would be really a huge relief to the team, because we also have that big clash against Arsenal coming up. And if you want a team that resembles Arsenal's style of playing football, Arsenal plays more similar to Real Sociedad. They like to press high up the pitch. There's a big impetus on their wingers, creating goal-scoring opportunities. So this is a great preview to that game, and I expect us to take it 100% seriously, because obviously the Copa del Rey is on the line, and winning it only once in the last decade is not good enough. If we get past this game, it's likely that we'll face Barca in the final. I'm calling it from now. Atleti is not going to do anything, even though the second leg is at their ground, and they got a draw away at Barcelona. The way they played them last time, capitulating when they were up by 2 goals with only like 20 minutes to go in the game, that sort of capitulation, I don't know what that does to you psychologically. They need to prove to themselves that they can win that game. Because when you're up by 2 goals and you squander a lead like that, I just hope that gives them a point to prove. And if you told me which one of those 2 teams between Atleti and Barca I'd rather face in the final, my answer would be neither. Because on one hand, you have Osama bin Simeone, and then the other hand, you have Hansi Flick. Both teams give us stylistic challenges. This could be the season where we have 2 El Clasico finals, Champions League and Copa del Rey. But I swear, if we lose both finals to Barcelona some way, I've never hit a senior citizen in my life. Now, if there's any good news, it's the fact that Dani Ceballos looks like he's going to be back very soon. They say he's going to be back fully fit for the first leg against Arsenal in the Champions League. Real Madrid's best 11 this season has featured Dani Ceballos. He's given our team a lot of balance. So, great news on that front. I hope he continues to recover. We know what our strongest midfield is. In those Clasico games, we were overrun in the midfield. And the profile of Dani Ceballos, as much as he does for you on the ball, he does a lot of work off the ball as well. So, in wrapping this video up, I'll just say that in our last game, I was really impressed with what I saw from Arda Güler. Arda is not the kind of player who's going to take on his man, try to dribble past 2-3 players the way Rodrygo does. Of course, when Rodrygo comes on, he looks a lot more dynamic, but that's not Arda's game. He's very clean on the ball, few touches, but they're very decisive. And if we can continue to build his confidence and he can continue to play more minutes, he can develop into something special. So I hope Carlo Ancelotti saw enough from him in that game to trust him with a little bit more minutes. Last season, Arda Güler scored a goal against Sociedad. He had one of his better games in a Real Madrid jersey at their stadium. But if we're ahead in this game, we need to find a way to close out matches more decisively. It can't be a situation where we're up against the ropes, like a boxer who's trying to just survive so that the judges can score it for him. And basically, he's trying not to get knocked out. That's not good enough for Real Madrid. If we're up by only a 1-goal margin, how about comfortably making it to the end of the match? That's all I got for this one. I have a lot of content coming up, podcasts, tactical analysis for the Arsenal game, a lot of really exciting stuff coming up, talking about Real Madrid transfers, Zubimendi, a number of other players who are linked with our club, talking about Trent Alexander-Arnold and what that's going to mean for our attack and the balance of the team. There's a lot of really exciting things happening at Real Madrid. And the kind of profile players that the board is going for right now is a little different. And if you've noticed some of the players that the board is starting to go for, I think they're starting to take the club in a little bit of a different direction, if you've noticed. And I like this direction. So stay tuned for a lot of those videos coming up. Thank you for watching. Hala Madrid.